The Banlist just dropped, and I wanted to get this up as fast as possible because we got global back. It's off the Banlist, and my initial thought was Necro Synchron, because I've mentioned this in the past where we could possibly use global because it's a resource basically free. The moment it hits the field and it's not banished and it goes to the graveyard, you can use it in some way. And I was like, well, we did get a few new cards, or we're going to get new cards, and dude, we're gonna get some of the new rose cards, and I'm gonna show you a full speeder combo. But after, I'm going to show you more combos, even if the negate speeder, which is huge because that's something that we want. We want to have pivot options pre-speeder. We want to see what we can do with a resolve speeder. And we want to have plays or be able to progress post-speeder being negated. And this is going to be the first thing. This is crazy. Okay, so Terrortop, special summon. This is quite important because it gives you the card to discard for the new rose cards. So resolve speeder, chain 1, chain 2. So already chain blocking the Ash, which is awesome. So they need to have imperm. And once again, remember, I'm going to show you combos where they negate speeder. But for now, this is just going to be resolving speeder completely. The end board is going to be basically something similar to what you've seen in the past, except we're going to be utilizing the new rose cards. You just need to dump the Garden Rose Midden. There are other targets that you do dump in the other combos because you need them. So we're just going to synchro climb here, get everything set up, revive, have the SD on field so we can special the trail, and then climb and synchro into Excel, dump a trigger trail, get a token because we made a synchron with her, dump off Excel, send Stardust, increase, make it level 9, plus token is a dragon, into the spatter, effect of SD, so we can trigger the assault. We go into Crimson, chain 1, chain 2. This will give us the high level synchro to get to our high level synchros, which is going to be Jura. Jura target, go into our SMSD. Mill for Rev. It's just tribute fodder at this point. Tribute it. Special. We go into Stardust Charge. That's going to be important because it is a win and you want to be able to have specifically level 6 and level 5 win synchros to go into to trigger the Necro Synchron. Okay, just be mindful of that. And then now we're going to use Takutanborg, the brick, but it's applicable here. Illumination, increase our Stardust. Go for the Omega. Double hand rip. Mill for the bulb. Because the new Black Rose cards, this guy is not a dragon, it's a plant, but it requires a plant tuner, and that's where global comes in. So now we go effect, get back our Omega. So this is our end board. On their turn, what's going to happen is we're going to standby phase, return our Assault Synchron, giving us another Omni negate for our Majestic. We have Stardust to protect us from destruction. We have a nuke, Omega Rip. And if all fails, we have double nuke within Jura and within Bramble, because Bramble will tag out into Black Rose Dragon. But you just gotta be mindful that it's Chainlink 1, okay? Otherwise, it'll make Black Rose miss timing. And we're not done yet. What happens now is Omega leaves, SMSD leaves. So for the nuke, you can protect yourself because this is not gonna be there. And your Rumble is gonna be there to protect your Black Rose Dragon and protect your Stardust Dragon. So you're gonna have that for the following turn. And then, if you really wanted to, you could have dumped the other target and used the Bramble Grave Effect to revive and then push even further. Because then you can find a way to tribute the Omega, recycle some synchros, and try to do something again, which is insane. And now I'm going to show you, oh yeah, it's fine. It's okay, yeah, resolve speeder, yeah. But what happens if the negate speeder? Let me show you. Now, let's take a look at what we can do assuming they negate our speeder, okay? So, we go special summon speeder, effect of speeder, and negate it. Okay, now we activate the effect of Necro Synchron because we used it as a material to make a wind synchro with let's summon a level 1 plant. Now, as you saw earlier, we use Hate Rose Witch, which is going to be quite crucial to our combo. And if they were to interact here, then at the very least, off of 2 interactions, you're going to be able to set up a Bramble on their turn, which is going to be a new Black Rose. That's like worst case scenario. So then now, we're going to dump our Violence Witch and our Garden Rose Midden. Violence Witch is essential in this line with Terrortop because you need a level 4. You'll see some of the combos be a bit different, but that's like the main reason because you require a level 4 to get into your Excel. So then we pitch the Talking Dog Borg. That's what's so convenient about the Terrortop engine. It gets you the discard you need. And then your Twilight Rose will revive your Violent Switch, which is going to be quite crucial, which sets up your Accel Synchron. You'll see why. And then we're going to reduce our Hate Rose going to Asti. Asti will trigger. Move for Global. Go for Accel Synchron. And then this is going to be very familiar. As I showed you in the Speederless build, where you used Accel to dump your Synchrons to basically essentially resolve Speeder, because you get your Assault in the graveyard, you get your Stardust in the graveyard, and you're basically getting access to your Synchrons that way. So then you do it because you want to be able to revive your Dragon off of the Tribute effect of Asti. Then you go into your Dispatter. Assault revives your Asti. And then your Dispatter is going to revive your Assault, because you want to make sure that this is back into the graveyard so you can get a second Omni with your SMSD. So now we sync that away. Don't worry, we're going to get that back. We're going to go for Crimson, get Rumble. Synchron to Jura. Target, get to our SMSD. Revive, this is what I'm referring to. Accel is just insane being utilized this way. And this is something to note, because I don't have Stardust Dragon, but all we require is a Synchron that mentions Stardust Dragon, and this does. So we can Special Trail. So we Special Trail. We go into Omega. And then finally, that's pretty crazy. All we're missing here is the Bramble, but we got everything else. What we could have done as well, save the Omega and return our Maiden during their semi-phase to be able to, let's say they crack our board somehow. We can revive our SMSD, we can revive this. But we're not done yet, because we have another engine that we can utilize, and it's something that we've used in the past. Welcome back, Adventure. So you'll see the biggest difference here is that you don't need to play Violent Switch, but because you play Terrortop, you need to have her. So that's why she's in there. Like, if you don't play Terrortop, then you don't need to play Violent Switch, because you have the token to give you access to the level 4. So remember, this is going to be just Speederless lines. Speeder gets negated, trigger, and it's going to be very different, where we don't need to summon the Violent Switch, okay? And we don't need a dumper. So in this case, we're going to dump Bramble, and we're going to dump Twilight Rose. And that's going to be the biggest difference as well. We're not going to be able to have access to Bramble the nuke, but nonetheless, we're still able to produce the majority of our board, okay? That revives our Bulb, because that ends up setting up our Accel Synchron and our SD. Revive our Necro Synchron, and now this is starting to get very familiar, right? We dumped the Assault so we can revive the SD after contributed, and then we go into Dispatter, and then the Dispatter is almost always going to be reviving your Assault Synchron, because that's how you get your double Omni with your SMSD. And then now you revive it, Synchro Climb, and don't worry, we're gonna get that back, but in a different sequence, because usually we just dump the Rose, right? The Guardian Rose Maiden, but in this case, we're gonna synchro into it, okay? So then we get our Omni. Similar thing where we revive, dump the Stardust. And this is the cool thing about this, is that you can, there's so many ways to do the combo, right? Mill for that, and this is where we go for the Guardian Rose Maiden. Normally we dump it, but in this case, we're just gonna have to make it. Reduce the Stardust, go into our Omega, right? And then once again, you can leave the Omega here and then return your Guardian Rose Maiden or return your Bramble. This is without Speeder. We basically got our board. The only thing we're missing is Bramble, but we got most of it. That's crazy. It's gonna be the same thing with Rite, but that's just showing you that you can do it with Terrortop, Enchantress, and Rite to do the same combo, even through like Speeder being negated. It's perfectly fine. And the biggest difference here is that you get to keep Rite, whereas in the other one, you use Enchantress, search Rite, and activate Rite. Whereas in this case, you activate Rite, search Enchantress, bench Enchantress, add Rite. So you get to keep that. Maybe you can just like discard fodder or something for Droplet or for Jet, right? And one of the biggest differences here, what you dump. In the Terrortop combo, you have to dump Violent Switch, you're lacking the level 4. That's like the biggest difference within these two sequences. Of course, you dump your Bramble instead. You could dump Violent Switch and you could discard this, but there's no reason to do that because all that does is you let you keep your token. If you want to keep your token, that's fine, assuming you have access to Griffin as well. But otherwise, redundant to go Violent Switch because you can have another body on field that you don't necessarily need. You go for SD. SD revives your Necro. Go into XL Synchron, and then you start dumping your Synchrons. This is crazy. This is what we want. We want to be able to play post-speeder, be negated, pre-speeder, speeder. Like, you want to have both. I mean, all three. You want to have the possibility of being able to pivot early, pre-speeder, and post-speeder. And of course, if speeder resolves you want to be able to make the best board possible, which is what I showed you. It's pretty insane. You go revive your XL Synchron. Dump the Stardust, Tribute. That's so cool. Revive, special, Mill for the Bulb. Go for Garden Rose Maiden. Reduce. Yeah. Revive, your Spatter. You could have just left the Omega on field to standby phase, return your Bramble or your Garden Rose Maiden. No speeder. You got most of your board. That's all. Here is the list. So I maxed out the Necro Synchron because I just want to see it. You want to open this and Adventure or your Terrortop engine. You can make the argument that you could cut it to 1 because you have triple tuning anyways. You just want to open it. Same thing with the other Synchrons. Stardust, you kind of need the second one to dump off of XL. So that's why it's at 2. Otherwise it'd be at 1. It shouldn't be at 3 pre-structure deck because it's not a 1-card combo. Rev is questionable because as we saw in the previous videos that I've showed you, is not necessarily needed, but it does make it a little bit more convenient. It just gives you the fodder you need as well to tribute for Stardust. And then of course you have your Soul Synchron. This is going to be essential. Jet, it's only in here because you want to be able to have the utility of Synchro Overtake, because if you start your play with this, you go special, summon, they interact there, then you have another play where you can go Adventure and Overtake, compared to just this being your singular play and then you just get stopped and you can't progress, right? So that's why this is here. So that's why you play this, just one copy of it, because it's shifted. This was usually the primary normal summon for this deck, but now I just want this to be normal summon. And then of course you have your Twilight Rose and you have your Violent Switch. Theoretically, you don't need Violent Switch if you're not playing Terrortop, but if you are, then you need to play this because for the line that requires you to have a level 4, as I mentioned in the replay, because Adventure gives you access to a level 4. So you don't need to revive your Violent Switch. That's the only reason you do it with a Terrortop line. Just you can get access to level 4 to make XL, dump the Assault, and then use SD's effect to then revive the SD. That's why it's in here. And then of course the recently unbanned card, Global. That's the reason why this is all possible. And of course you have your Stardust Trail, Griffin, and then pretty much everything is self-explanatory. I just want to get this out there as fast as I could because this is pretty interesting. Something to consider. Pre-structure deck, because the structure deck is come out in November, so that you have like a month, and this should be legal later this month. So like in 12 days, as of the recording of this video, you can possibly take this or play this. Meanwhile, we wait for the structure. And then of course everything else non-engine. You can increase it, the non-engine, fixed ratios. It's just like a rough draft. And we have our extra deck. I was having trouble what was essential, what was not essential, and then I came just to this. I was playing Crystal Wing initially. I was playing Gen X as well, but then you need to make room for Garden Rose Maiden. You need to make room for the Hate Witch, make room for the Black Rose and the Bramble. You could play Bramble by itself, but like there are gonna be some lines where you pivot and they stop both your plays, where they stop Speeder and they stop Hate Rose. Then at the very least you can go Bramble and then Nuke, so that's why I ended up putting it there. And the reason you play your Stardust is because if you open up the Rite and they stop your search for 3, then you go summon this, okay, go into charge, chain 1, chain 2, summon Bulb, and go for a Bramble line, Nuke, and then everything else pretty much just self-explanatory. And then of course things to consider when Synchros. I was considering playing this alongside Featherstorm because this is the win, and this is rarely used the way it should be used. If you can draw a Harpy monster, you can activate this card from your hand. So I was like, maybe there's a way where we can make this and then use this. This isn't searchable, so maybe as a side card, like with Thrust, you can like synchro this out and then thrust and set this. I mean, you can do it with this as well because this is a win wing base. abilities, so it works with him. But being able to just use it from hand is huge. You can make this with your Griffin Rider. You can make Chenshin with your Griffin Rider, which is why all the possibilities of implementing the cash engine again, because you still have overtake, and that's still a strong combo. Something to consider. Then of course you have your Pegasus, because you can make it. It's just the wind. Then of course you have your another level 6 that you could use. This is just all theory, but this is awesome. I think that's pretty cool. The fact that you can just not result speeder and then still do most of your board is wild. But anyways, that's gonna be it. Hopefully you enjoy the video. Like, subscribe if you haven't, and thanks for watching.